Hello there. I mentioned in my last video that I was going to do individual characters for a while, and I will be doing another individual character. This one will be Steffon Blu. And before I do that, I might as well mention that, when I started writing many years ago, I probably wasn't the most optimistic of characters. I'm talking about maybe 25 years ago now, something like that, if we can leave out the scribbling I used to do when I was in school and so forth. And, I spent some time in counselling and things myself when I was younger. Maybe 15 years ago now, something like that. I don't want to make myself sound too old. And, my mindset has changed a fair deal as a result of that. And I'm not quite that negative anymore as being negative. It brings dark clouds down over a person. You kind of absorb too much of what is happening in the world, and you no longer can see through those dark clouds. The light is cut out, and you can't even see when it's daylight or nighttime or something like that. So I used to be in that kind of position, very negative, not remotely optimistic, complaining all the time and things like that. But I've left all that behind. I know the world is in a tricky place right now, and it's, in the short term it looks a little bit rough. In the medium term it looks a little rough, but I think the universe does has a long-term plan for everyone. There's no point questioning what the universe is attempting to do. The universe isn't going to pop down here and explain everything to us, because it just doesn't work like that. And sometimes we question why it allows this to happen. Why does it allow that to happen? Well, the universe can look at the entire planet and can see 500 years ago and can see 500 years into the future in one moment. And as a result, it makes decisions on that basis. So really what I'm basically trying to say is what's happening in the world right now, I admit it's not terribly nice. Even in my own neighbourhood there is increasing agitation, I suppose you could say. It's probably one of the main reasons I kind of cut back on cycling and things, because I found the road getting a little bit unsafe at times. But other people, they have their own stories, they have their own lives. If they're struggling a little bit, there's not much I can do about that. Everybody has to find their own level of contention and has to kind of evolve for their own benefits. If you can't evolve for your own benefit, you're not really going to be in a position to help anyone else. So in other words, I'm saying all this because basically it's relevant to Steffon Blu. He is that kind of character. I didn't write him deliberately like that because, it just, the way the world is at the moment kind of worked out coincidentally. As one state is based, on a fictional place, and, it just happens to look a little bit like what's happening in the world right now. Coincidental, like I said. I thought it would be worthwhile just giving you a little bit of background on myself and things like that, and the fact that, granted, I'm not the most social people, I suppose you could say, but, I consider myself reasonably well informed on the world, and while things do look a little bit bleak, I do believe that the universe has a long-term plan, and things will be okay. I do. And, I'm just looking at my cards on the table there by coincidence, because as you might have noticed, my hall's full of stuff at the moment as I'm painting a few rooms, so I have to move everything down here. That's why all my books are here. And I just mentioned briefly I have moon cards. I know not everybody is into moon cards and things like that, but I like them as a kind of a hobby in the morning. I just pick a card every morning. Like that. Hopefully the mirror image is on there. Yeah, there. And, yes, well, yes. and that happens. And I have another bunch of cards here, in fact. And it's just like I said, it's kind of a clockwork pumpkin. And, it's just something to relax on. I don't take it too seriously or anything like that. I know some people who do, but, I just like to fool along with them every now and again. I actually have a box of dragon cards who Susan Browne spoke about a couple of times in the past, and I ordered them and I got them last month. I haven't opened them yet. I'm kind of keeping them for a special occasion. They're from the Diana Cooper School. Anyway, let's go back into the book before the video runs on too long. And Steffon Blu, he's, I think I wrote him from the point of view of how I believe everybody else wishes to be. We all kind of have ambitions, and we all kind of like to go on a particular road, and I suppose we all like to better ourselves and evolve positively. I don't think anybody wishes to evolve negatively. It's just some people haven't got the inner strength to, correct themselves. And, that's what happens in the world sometimes. Steffon Blu manages to correct himself. A lot of negative things happens to him. He's on his own. As I mentioned, Sage, his younger brother, dies on one of the farms. And Steffon is he's neither here nor there for a little while. But he puts himself together. And he recovers reasonably well. Doesn't recover 100% from the setbacks. But he kind of evolves through the situation. And he has one or two close friends in the apartment block where he lives. And sometimes they see him as a go-to guy for advice and some information or for some assistance or just someone to talk to. And he's okay with that because he's well educated. He works in a furniture factory. Unfortunately, after being detained by the Secret Service, he's released. He loses his job. He can't pay his rent and things start looking a little bit bad. But he takes all that and he views it as a momentous challenge for him. And he does quite well out of all that. And I wrote him deliberately as a guy who's going to win in the end. Despite the fact that as you go from one page to another, you're wondering how much more of this is he going to take before he gives in the towel. But he doesn't throw in the towel. He keeps going on. And he does manage to escape in the end from one state, and he gets to the Free Island. And that's not quite where it ends for him. There's more to it than that. But, I don't want to go on too much about it, But the baseline is, when he starts off, it looks very bleak for him. And as it progresses, it doesn't look as though it's improving. But when you step back from the character, you realise he's evolving, he is improving, even though on occasion he's looking in the mirror and he loses confidence in himself and he loses confidence in everything around him. But once he moves away from the mirror and thinks in the cold light of day, things aren't as bad as all that. There are, positive signs here and there, and he latches on to those positive signs. You could say he throws the curtains open and lets the light in. He doesn't let the darkness cloud around him. He doesn't let him drag him down too much, because he knows he has to depend on himself. He knows if he can't depend on himself, if he can't help himself, he's going to be in serious trouble then. Because ultimately, each individual who wishes to evolve needs to depend on themselves first. You can't help anybody else until you help yourself. That's the underlying story of Steffon Blu. He helps himself, and in the process ends up helping other people. So there you have it. So I did make 3 or 4 other videos, and I was going to post them on YouTube, but I decided not to. I said I'd make this video here instead, as I've been busy all day long outside. I'm getting my art studio together outside as well, but I was just finishing up earlier on, and I was coming in, and I said, I'll do a new video. I won't post the old video I made, I'll post a new video, and this is that video. So I'm going to switch off now in a minute and post it on YouTube and see how it works out. And hopefully it's not too long and rambling for you. So anyway, good luck, mind yourself and take care, and I'll be on to you again soon.